Hi guys, Happy New Year. I am totally baffled by my hair right now because in the mirror, I was just looking in a mirror and the part looked to me like it was right down the center. So I don't know if it's my eye problem, the mirror, the camera, all of the above. My eyes don't work together properly, if I haven't mentioned that. It's called strabismus. But anyway, Happy New Year. I survived 2020, and I'm very proud of myself. I did have a rough patch in March when we went into lockdown at first where I live, and I think a lot of that was probably fear of the unknown. What is this going to look like? How is this going to affect me? And now that this has been going on for so long, and I know what it looks like, I know what to expect more or less, I think that's made it easier. But also, for some reason, I have just done a really good job accepting the situation. Um, and I'm happy to see the vaccines rolling out. That gives me optimism. But I'm just not that bent out of shape. And I can't put my finger on exactly why. But nonetheless, I'm very proud of myself. I will say this is one time where it was a good thing I didn't know in advance. People with anxiety generally like to have as much control and know as much as we can beforehand. So we know what to expect, we know what to plan for. If someone had told me in March that I'd be sitting here in January 2021 and we'd still be talking pandemic, I would have had some sort of meltdown. It would not have been good. It would have been far worse than the little episode I did have. So I'm actually glad this one time I didn't know. And I've had time to accept it slowly. And that's always the best for me anyway. Any change or new thing, I have to accept very slowly on my own terms. I always do come around to new things. Well, usually, I should say, I will come around eventually, but it takes me time, a lot of time, to adjust and accept. So I think that's probably where I'm at now. I've accepted that this is the situation. So let's talk New Year's resolutions. So that's another thing I'm proud of myself for. My resolution last year, before I knew the plague was coming, was not to go to the emergency room. Now, I should explain that. I have gotten way too comfortable, I think, in my opinion, going to the emergency room. And not that it's a bad thing to go for mental health, but only if it's really, really serious. And I was starting to use it like a crutch, which is a symptom of the lack of support for mental health care, I won't lie. Um, but it just wasn't the right thing to be doing, to be taking resources away from where they're actually needed. They can't really help me, with the things I'm going in for when it's just like extreme anxiety or whatever. So I made the decision that I was going to stop doing that. That I was going to figure out how to do things at home, how to use other techniques to calm myself down, and remind myself that going to the hospital, obviously, is fine in an emergency, but it wasn't going to be my knee jerk reaction. And technically, I did not keep my resolution because I was in emerge in September, but that's a technicality because I was actually there with abdominal pain. I did not go at all for mental health this year. I had some ups and downs. I've been doing quite well for the last little while now. I did have my downs, but I dealt with them at home. I did not go to the hospital. And now that I've started a virtual group therapy, and I'm learning some skills, I'm hoping to get even better at it. I'm impressed that I did what I did without, the skills group. The skills group just started. I had to wait a year and a half to get into that group, so I've been doing it on my own. So I'm very, very pleased with myself. So I'm going to make that my resolution again this year. I don't know if you're supposed to repeat them, but I am. And then, of course, the other thing everyone does, I think, is weight loss. Um, I'm not setting that as a resolution per se. It's been a goal of mine for several years now. Um, but it is going to be, I think, a big theme. And this is not just starting, today or yesterday. This was even back in the fall. I was already trying to figure things out. I will do a video when I finally manage to get some weight loss off. And I will. If it takes me 25 attempts, I will get this weight off. And then I will do a video. I will go more in depth about what I've been learning, how multifaceted it really is. But that's my goal. for the year, for this year, to get some weight off and not go to emerge, unless it's actually an emergency, not use it as a crutch. And I guess it's not going to be a very long video. I'm just sort of saying Happy New Year. The other thing I'm going to make mention of is farther in the future. I think New Year's is always a good time to look at the future in general. So my two big things, my two big wants, goals, wishes, whatever. One is to move out. So I'm living in, this is my mom and stepdad's basement. And I am very, very lucky because many people on my disability benefit are homeless. I talked about that in a video, how little money we get. So unlike a typical 31-year-old, I can't just go get a job and move out because I can't work right now. So I either have to get well enough to work, my benefit has to be increased, which is not likely. More subsidized housing needs to become available because right now I will get into that, but it's going to take a very long time, which is also not likely. So the only things I can really do to increase my chances of getting out sooner, one is to look in other parts of the province. I do have my eye on a city in eastern Ontario. I was going to go in the summer and feel it out, see where the buildings are, what they're like. I didn't want to just apply for housing blindly. I didn't end up going out there this summer because of the plague, so that's, on the hold, I guess. The other option would be to get higher up on the list, and there is someone I'm working with who thinks he might be able to get me higher priority, and I'm not going to go into detail on that. I don't think I'm going to qualify. I'm willing to try it. I'll try anything, but I think I'm going to be stuck on I think I'm about 3 years into a decade-long list. So unfortunately, even though that's one of my big wishes for the future, it's very, very frustrating. I'm not going to lie. And even before, when I wasn't on disability, my goals were always very modest. Like I was thinking, move out of Toronto area where rent is cheaper, and I could get a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment and have more space. Like those were my kind of goals. So now that I'm at a stage where just give me an apartment, any apartment, and I have so little control, it is frustrating. It is frustrating. So that's the distant future. I'd love to move out tomorrow, but I can't. And the other thing for the future would be a service dog. I believe I would benefit from a mental health service dog. It would help me, I think, with anxiety, depression, loneliness, being more physically active. I think it would help with confidence, with dealing with people. But it's been made clear to me that while I'm living here, there will be no dog. So, again, being, in my 30s and not being able to get a dog if I want to is very, very frustrating. So this is going to have to wait till I've moved out. So this is, again, further down the road. But I guess it gives me something to look forward to, something to look forward to. I can't think of another way to phrase that. But, yeah, so those are my further in down the road goals, just future in general. And specifically for this year, like I said, weight loss and not going to the hospital. And, yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.